So welcome to another segment on playing over changes, and so far we've looked at C going to E7th. Okay, doesn't sound like much, but it's a big watershed if you can get yourself through that and play that change. Now the technique for this is really staying broadly within the root scale, in this case C major pentatonic, but then using the notes or the position of your fingers for a chord as a sort of a map of the notes you can drop onto to articulate that change. Now I would say it's definitely worth going back and looking at the previous segments before you get stuck into this if you haven't already seen them. But today what we're going to be talking about, we're going to carry on really from where we left off, which was we've gone from the C to the E7th, and we've now got a reasonably balanced phrase. We started by going C and then one note in E7 just to articulate the change, and now we've gone a little bit further. We've got a bar of notes here in C, got a bar of notes here in E7, and we're joining the two together, so articulating. So our next move is to think about what happens next in the sequence. Now, for those of you who've seen the first episode and can still remember, that's fine. For those of you who haven't or can't remember, this is really broadly taking a sequence which was used in an Eric Clapton song from many years ago, many years ago in fact, and it's called Bell Bottom Blues, and it starts with this sequence. Okay, the principle behind learning anything is you take it in little pieces, get each one of those chewed up, if you will, and swallowed before you try the next bit. So we've gone from C to E7th. Now the next chord in the sequence is an A minor. So effectively when we're playing, we're going to be looking at changing from E7 to A minor. Okay, now this is quite an interesting change because I want to just take a little side turning, if you will. Now this is to do with relative major and minor, and this is yet another thing that's been discussed in previous videos. Our C major pentatonic is the same thing effectively as our A minor pentatonic. Phrasing points are different because in one instance you're describing C, the other you're describing A minor. But in this particular instance, this works really well for us. So instead of thinking C, E7th, A minor, we can at least get the process going by saying, well, hang on, if the C and the A minor are much the same thing, then we actually only have to think about two things happening here. We're playing in C, we're dipping into E7th, and we're playing back in C again, although we're phrasing it in A minor. So effectively this next segment is reversing what we've already done. So instead of doing this, we can do this. Okay, here's our E7. And back into our A minor. So E7 to an A minor. Now, one of the really nice things about this is, and it's a sort of a payment for all the time you will have spent and effort you will spend, because I know this takes ages trying to get these things to work. The great thing about this is this change is going to be 50 to 75% easier than the first one you played, and the reason for that is because you've already done the first one. You've got the idea now of thinking about, this is how I'm going to play over a change. Once you've got that in your head, then the geography and the stuff that you need to navigate it musically is relatively straightforward. We've gone from C to E7th, we've gone from E7th to A minor. Now again, it's very important you don't skimp on any part of this process. So the most important thing to do here now is almost to forget about the C and just think, okay, I'm going to go from E7th to A minor. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. Anyway, More in the next segment, so for now, if you wouldn't mind hitting the subscribe button, that would be great, and thanks very much for watching. So see you soon.